Hi everyone, in this video I'll talk a bit about different tips I use when drawing backgrounds for a character and making sure everything fits together. For the first example, I'll use this image, where the background is mostly on ambience. I wanted to give the impression of a soldier being in a dark environment after a fight, so I used different particles to simulate the ambience after that fight. To add some depth to the image, you can add different layers of particles and elements, like smoke, in front and behind your subject. As you can see, I have a layer of flames in front of the character, in color dodge blending mode. So that way it adds some warm tones in the air, as well as on the character. There's also some orange particles even more in front of this to go with it. These particles are duplicated, blurred, and then set to color dodge as well. In the background, I have a layer of flames and smoke as well as particles. But these layers are colored by a gradient map to be in bluish tones. This way, the armor is also tinted with this blue light, and it helps bring together the whole image, with finally a glare of light coming from the visor. At last, I used a final layer on top of the character and the flame because I thought there was too much orange at the bottom of the picture. By using this layer in color mode and painting with a neutral color, white, black or gray, whatever, as long as there is no saturation, I can take out all the saturation from the layers beneath. This way I can paint roughly with a big airbrush to add some gradient grays, and then I can use the layer opacity to reduce the effect and let a bit of color through if I think I went overboard. This keeps the attention in the center of the image where I want it, and not at the feet, where there was too much color just before. Another tip used in a different setting is adding bokeh or an atmospheric perspective to your illustration. The bokeh simulates the picture being taken with a camera and the focus being only on the character, and background being out of focus. To do this, you need to draw every element of the background you want to blur on another layer and then add some Gaussian blur. One thing to know is how depth of field works. The furthest thing is to what is in focus and sharp, the more it will be blurred. So in this case, I only have two planes. The first building and character are sharp, and the building behind is blurred. But if I had a third building even further, I would accentuate the blur on it to make it even less contrasty and more blurry. Then comes the atmospheric perspective. Just like before, where the further an object is, the blurrier it is, this time it's about its value range. The furthest object has a reduced value range, especially in the dark tones. You can achieve this by having a level adjustment layer and reducing the black output. This way, nothing can be pure black and the whole background loses in contrast. This also helps to keep the attention of the viewer on the character and the foreground by being the most contrasted point in the image. And the last tip is used in another image, and is to think about color harmony in your painting. If you want to make your character stand out, so right here I chose to do all the background in a complementary color to the animal to make him pop out. And I also used the blur technique to reduce the details in the background. This way, by having really saturated and bright spots of color on the character, it stands out from the complementary background, which is a lot more dull, with fewer details and less contrast. Not bringing the eye, but just adding a nice scene to the whole image. I hope this video was helpful for you and that you can get out of it something to improve your background and your characters. I'll see you all in the next video, and in the meantime, keep creating. Bye everyone.